Good morning, my name is Purely Def, your favorite Def rapper. This is going to be episode number 4. Today I'm going to be showing you 2 different clips, one of which is from Jay the Nitewing, one of which is from XQZ. And there are a lot of ways that these 2 clips are very different, but at the same time, I feel like they share an underlying similarity that I want to talk about. So I'm going to go ahead and play it for you, and then we'll talk about it after.
Twerk really got it all from Lou. This is what I want y'all to do for me. Think of all his moves, because he took all of them. The bigger 9, the little 9, the scarecrow, the revolver spin, the uptown, the downtown, the first take, the recap, the skirt. You probably should have let him keep that. The bulldog, the Joe Budden, the weird nigga, the janitor, the clear view, the old button, bro, you fucking...
All right, and now we'll look at a clip from XQZ versus JR.
And in this era, popularity is based on how well you cater to folks with the most generic of tastes. Because fans are so desperate for new talent they can compare to the greats, they'll cheer for anyone that parodies their character traits. Oh, but you're different, right? The mid-round catchphrases, the shoulder bumps, the loaded looks. Oh, here's my signature piece of clothing stunt. The floor slaps, the cadence, screaming every time you throw a punch. Your slogan's what? Every goddamn... Am I going nuts? Even your tweets. Flame emoji. Put in work, my guy. You got next. It's like some fucking battle rap NPC dialogue text. The coke so white. The clip longer. The I'm so strong flex. I tell my shooters the code word is tired concepts. That's why I do not gang. That's why I do not.
All right, so both of those clips, in my opinion, are fire. I feel like these 2 videos kind of exemplify what this entire show is about, which is trying to identify battle rap techniques that can be used in different ways. And if you really look at these 2 clips, there are a lot of differences. The overall subject matter that they're talking about, if you look at the clip from Jay the Nitewing, he's a lot more performance-based, whereas XQZ, I feel like he was more writing-based. But these both have an underlying commonality that they're kind of both identifying cliches in battle rap and then kind of going through and listing them all. So if you can imagine yourself as Jay the Nitewing writing for Twerk, maybe you would need to go through every single one of Twerk's videos and kind of like write down every single type of move that he does and just kind of catalog it in your brain on how to do it. Or if you can imagine yourself being XQZ and writing for JR, you might get out a piece of paper and just write down every single thing that you constantly see within battle rap. Or just similarities that you see from your opponent with, a lot of other things within battle rap. But at the very, very core of what both of these 2 people did, all they really did was kind of identify a bunch of cliches, kind of wrote them all down and put them and compiled them into a very compact list. And then when you actually go out there and you rap whatever 4 or 8 bars and you have all this material just completely packed in both cases, we're used to seeing these things. We can all identify them readily. But when you really condense it all into 4 lines or 8 lines, and you're just going one after another, I'm doing this move, I'm doing that move, I'm doing this move, that move. It almost kind of reminds me of the scene in The Matrix where Neo kind of goes through the metal detector and he's just got all these different guns and he just starts pulling them out one by one. So imagine, you come over and all of a sudden I pull out an AK-47, then I pull out a shotgun, then I pull out an MP5. It's one thing to have guns, but if you start pulling them out one after another, and if you can keep going and going past the point where people expect that you will have already run out of material, it's almost like the magic trick where he pulls a handkerchief out of his sleeve and it just keeps on going. And you would think that, okay, yeah, after like 2 or 3 seconds, he would be out of material, but they keep on pulling out more and more. And to me, as an audience member, if I see that, I'm captivated by it because there's almost a part of you that thinks, maybe this will never end. Maybe they will never run out of material. And then at that point, it really does feel like magic. And I think the effect is amplified even more if you can be nonchalant about it. If you look at Jay the Nitewing, he's not trying to prove how tough he is or even how good he raps by just going through and doing all these hand motions. He's rapping like he's not impressed and that there's nothing to be impressed about. And even him doing it, he feels like this is not an impressive thing. But if you as a viewer are watching it, if you're anything like me, you're fucking impressed. And so when he goes through and he rattles through all of these different things, again, you're pulling out all these different guns and you're just like, yeah, these are all my guns. And XQZ kind of does the same thing where he's just talking about his opponent and how he's not impressed by how his opponent tends to emulate other battle rappers. JR wears a bucket hat, so he has a signature piece of clothing, but he's not the first or even 100th battler to have some kind of signature piece of clothing. He's in a group called Every Goddamn Line, which is a lot like Every Fucking Bar. I will say that XQZ used this technique as more of a way to build up to his punch, which again emphasizes that you can take a battle rap technique and do different things with it. It can take on different life forms to the point where they're almost unrecognizable. But at the very core, in order to accomplish this technique, step number one, you probably want to write down as many different cliches as you can think of. Now, both of them only did battle rap cliches. But that doesn't mean you have to do battle rap cliches. Like, for example, if you were battling somebody who was a teacher, for example, Real Deal, who gets a lot of people who do teacher flips, you could probably apply a very similar technique where you describe different mannerisms, stereotypes, and so forth. Again, step one would just be to write down as many different things as you can think of. Then in step two, you have to kind of weave it all together. But for this particular technique, what you would want to do is really make sure that you have a lot of content in a short period of time where you're basically listing off all these cliches one by one by one by one. Step number three might be combined with step number two, where you're trying to figure out your body language and different mannerisms and basically try to identify how you're going to perform everything. Step four would be optional, but you would probably want to have a very relaxed delivery for the effect that these two different clips had. Both of them are kind of framing their opponent as the person that is doing all of these cliches. And they're kind of describing themselves why they're not impressed by it. Now, you don't have to do that step, but I did want to draw attention to that nuance. Then on step five, maybe you want to build it into a punch or something different. Maybe build it into a scheme. I don't know how you want to do it, but more or less, that's kind of a breakdown of how to do that technique. Anyhow, if you have not seen it, definitely check out XQZ versus JR, which is on the iBattle application. Also check out Jay the Nitewing versus New Jersey Twerk, which is on the URL application. As far as I know, neither of them at the moment are on YouTube. I do believe that XQZ versus JR is going to be coming out within the next 3 days. So definitely stay tuned for that on the iBattle YouTube. And that's all I got for this episode.